Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Wednesday, March the 25th. We do got a big Wednesday slate. We got 11 games tonight, so, there's going to be a lot to talk about. We're going to go through each game, talk about each team. I'm going to try and go as quickly as I can, keep this video, as short as possible, as brief as possible, but still giving you guys a good amount of information. So, before we get started with the breakdown, guys, as always, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that like button down below, hit that subscribe button as well. If you are new here, be sure to click that notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload, and you also get notified every time I do go live. I should be back this afternoon with a live stream. I was not able to go live on Tuesday, but I should be live streaming Wednesday afternoon around 4 Eastern time. So if you are free then, if you want to tune into the live stream, I'll be live on my YouTube channel talking through this slate with you guys, answering all your questions, breaking down everything once again. So yeah, check out the live stream this afternoon. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's go ahead and take a look at tonight's slate. We'll start off with the Detroit and Indiana game. So this is a game that definitely is important because there's some questionable guys on the Pacers that are going to really impact the slate, depending on if they are, out again. On the Pistons side, though, I really don't see much on the Pistons that I really like today. Just everyone on Detroit feels appropriately priced. On a big slate like this, I really don't want to be playing any Pistons in a bad matchup against the Pacers. Outside of some of these guys from Indiana, this isn't a game I really want to have much exposure to. So, like I said, I'm going to try and keep it quick. So, really for me, there's not much I like on the Detroit today. Now, on the Pacers side, it really depends on if Brogdon and Turner play. So, Malcolm Brogdon and Miles Turner were both out last game. They ran a weird starting lineup. They started Edmund Sumner at point guard, and I'm pretty sure Doug McDermott moved into the starting lineup. I guess they do that same starting lineup again if Brogdon and Turner were to be out. I don't think that, in terms of the guys we'd want to play, I don't think we're really going to be considering those two, McDermott or Sumner. But Sabonis, if Turner gets ruled out, I love Sabonis here. Great matchup against Detroit. Without Turner, Sabonis is just going to get all the center minutes. All of his minutes are going to be at center. He's more productive when he's not having to play alongside Turner. He's a little bit more productive. His rebounding numbers get a little bit of a boost. We know Sabonis has triple-double upside. He's a incredibly productive player when he's on the floor. He's a high-usage player. We're going to get big minutes from Sabonis. He would be a really, really good play at 9,400 if Miles Turner were to be out. I think you could still play Sabonis if Miles Turner plays, but obviously, would have to downgrade him. And if Brogdon is out, I really like Caris LeVert and I really like TJ McConnell. Caris LeVert had a pretty solid game last game, 38 DK points in 31 minutes. Both him and Sabonis lost minutes due to blowout, so they could have had even better games had the game stayed close. But yeah, if Brogdon gets ruled out again, really like Caris LeVert. He is someone I will definitely be looking to. And then TJ McConnell, even though he came off the bench, he still played 32 minutes. He wasn't that productive, only 28 DK points, but if Brogdon sits, really do like TJ McConnell here. So if Brogdon and Turner are both out, love Sabonis, love LeVert, love TJ McConnell. If they both play, I don't see too much on the Pacers I like outside of maybe Sabonis. You could still play if they're fully healthy. But yeah, if Brogdon and Turner are out, love those big three from the Pacers, Sabonis, LeVert, and McConnell. We can go ahead and move on to the next one. Denver and Toronto. So on Denver today, this is a back-to-back for the Nuggets. I don't really see much on Denver that I really like here. Nikola Jokic, it seems like Jokic just crushes every night, even when he's low-owned. Like, he was pretty low-owned on Tuesday's slate against Orlando. Obviously, a lot of ownership went to James Harden, as, you would expect. But Jokic went out there and dominated, had a triple-double, 71 DK points. I feel like on today's slate, Jokic is going to be really low-owned again, which does make him appealing for tournaments. I don't know if he's someone I'd be playing in cash games in my, one lineup, but tournaments, I think Jokic is someone we can look to. He's probably the only guy, though, I'm really going to be considering on Denver. I don't see too much here outside of Jokic that I'll be targeting. On the Toronto side, we do have some news that's worth monitoring. So Kyle Lowry and Norman Powell have come up in trade talks. That's something to monitor. They could maybe be traded in the next couple of days. I'm assuming if they were to get traded, they would not be playing. So just keep an eye on that. Norman Powell and Lowry, I saw a tweet from Woj that they were in trade talks. The Raptors were listening to calls on Lowry and Powell. Just keep an eye on that. But assuming, all these Raptors guys play, I don't see too much from Toronto that I really like. I think Pascal Siakam at 7,300 does feel a little underpriced. Now, he wasn't bad, or he was really bad against Cleveland that day, but then he did bounce back against Houston with 43 DK points in 36 minutes. Normally I don't go out of my way to play any of these Raptors guys when they're fully healthy, but the price tag on Siakam at 7,300 I think does make him look like a pretty appealing option today. He is someone I will for sure be looking to. He's my favorite guy in Toronto. I don't think I'm really considering anyone else, though, on this Raptors team. So Boston and Milwaukee, looking at this game, on the Celtics side, there are some guys on the Celtics I like today. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kemba Walker. When all these guys are healthy, it's always tough to predict which one of these three is like going to put up the big game. If I had to play one of them, it probably would be Jason Tatum. He got ruled out last game. It was a really late injury or really late announcement. He got ruled out with an illness last game. I think maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes before the game started. But he's off the injury report for today, so he's good to go. He should be playing, or he will be playing. I would say pretty decent matchup here against Milwaukee. Milwaukee does play pretty fast. They are a solid defensive team, but they do play at a really fast pace. I have some interest in Jason Tatum, as a lower owned tournament option here at 8,600. I think my favorite play, though, from Boston's probably Daniel Tice. 5K on DK, still very affordable on Yahoo. Also very affordable over there, coming in at $17. He is someone I will definitely be looking to at the power forward position. We already know that Tristan Thompson is going to remain out today. Tice lately, with Thompson out, he's been getting the minutes. He's played at least 25 minutes in every game that Thompson has missed. The production's kind of been up and down. He had that really bad game against Cleveland, but you take out that game, he's gotten at least 27 DK points in 4 of his last 5 games. I assume he plays at least 25, close to 30 minutes. 5K, like Daniel Tice is close to a point per minute player. He's obviously going to, get most of his minutes at center with Thompson off the floor. And he is slightly more productive when he's not having to play alongside Tristan Thompson. So at 5K, I actually do have a good amount of interest in Daniel Tice today. I think he does stand out as a solid option, in that lower mid-range at power forward. There's a lot of questionable guys today. There's a lot of potential plays that could open up as the day goes on, depending on what injury news comes out throughout the day. But for now, I think Tice does look like a solid power forward option on both sides. He's my favorite play from Boston. Definitely the guy I like most on this team. But on Milwaukee, big news here. Giannis Antetokounmpo is questionable. Just going to keep this as quickly as possible. So if Giannis plays, I think he's really the only guy that I'll be looking to on Milwaukee. Giannis is someone I always look to pay up for. He's just so good, so productive, such a high usage player. Even in a less than ideal matchup against Boston, this is a game we should expect to stay close. We should expect Giannis to get his 36, 38 minutes. And he's just been so productive this year. He can go out there and put up 65, 70 DK points basically any night where he's playing his full minutes. So if Giannis plays, I have a lot of interest in him. But if he's out again, basically the guys that we talked about last slate, Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, their prices went up a little bit, but they didn't go up enough. If Giannis is out again, love Chris Middleton, love Drew Holiday. DiVincenzo's viable, but not at 6,400. Like, he's not a top option for me at his price tag. Now, Bobby Portis, I do want to mention, he was super cheap last slate. He played 25 minutes off the bench with Giannis out, had 38 DK points. I was expecting him to start, but he came off the bench, played 25 minutes. I'd assume he'd probably play around 22 to 24 minutes off the bench again if Giannis were to be out again. Bobby Portis is a really productive player when he gets the minutes. Even at 5,300, I still have a good amount of interest in Bobby Portis today if Giannis remains out. And then Pat Connaughton, you could also look to. He had a really good game with Giannis out. He did draw the start, play 33 minutes, 36 DK points. He'd be viable as well. So really, we just got to wait and see here with Giannis. If he plays, I like him. If he's out, Drew, Chris Middleton, Portis, Connaughton, those are guys I'll definitely be looking to. But moving on to the next game, Charlotte and Houston. So on Charlotte today, there's a decent amount I do like here. We know LaMelo Ball's out for the season, so I want to talk about the guards first. Terry Rozier and Devontae Graham. Rozier was really good last game. Devontae Graham not as much, but I like both of them once again. Their prices went up a little bit, but you could say they honestly did not go up enough. Rozier 7,100 on DK, Graham 5,300, and then on Yahoo you got Rozier coming in at $25. The price tag barely went up over there. Love Rozier on Yahoo, and Devontae Graham $16. I think also, still a little bit too cheap. I know people are probably going to shy away from Devontae Graham. He only had 21 DK points last game in 29 minutes, but the minutes were there. He played close, around 30 minutes. I'd assume with LaMelo out, we're going to get around 30 minutes a night from Devontae Graham, potentially more. I think on nights where Devontae Graham's actually knocking down shots and he's playing really well, he'll get bigger minutes. I think he's got the potential to play 36, 38 minutes if he's, knocking down shots and if he's playing well. We've seen the upside that Devontae Graham has in the past. He's going to have the ball in his hands more with LaMelo off the floor. Just should be more productive overall. 5,300, in my opinion, still too cheap for Graham if he's going to be playing 30-plus minutes, and especially, in a pace-up matchup against Houston. So really do like Devontae Graham. Also, Terry Rozier just going to get a ton of opportunity, going to get more shot attempts, should get more usage as well, more assists as well with LaMelo off the floor. Last game, played a ton of minutes, 39 minutes, 44 DK points, took 17 shots. He didn't even shoot the ball that well from the field, but he still had 44 DK points. Really like Rozier once again. I think even at 7,100, his price went up a little bit, but in my opinion, Probably didn't go up enough. I think Rozier should be closer to 8K. Devontae Graham should be closer to like 6,500. I feel like it's basically, as we get more games with LaMelo out, I think that we're going to see their prices get to those points. Like Rozier's going to get in the 8K range. Graham's going to get up to, that 6K range. I like both these guys. I still think they are a little bit too cheap. They're definitely my two favorite plays from Charlotte. But like Gordon Hayward, you could look to 7,900. His price also went up a good amount, but played 37 minutes without LaMelo. Should get big minutes once again. Was able to contribute in all categories, 27, 7, and 6. Hayward's one of those guys that, can do a little bit of everything, can score, can get rebounds, can get assists. I do have interest in him. PJ Washington, not as much interest. He did have 39 DK points, played 42 minutes. Like, he played a ton of minutes last game. I think they're going to, continue to give him big minutes, especially while Cody Zeller remains out. Right now, Cody Zeller is questionable, so this will be something to monitor. If he were to play, that would definitely lower my interest in PJ Washington. But that's probably it for Charlotte. Like, Malik Monk, going to come off the bench, probably play like mid-20s minutes. You could take a shot on him at 4,300. We know he has upside when he gets hot from the field, but I think my main interest in Charlotte today, Hayward, and then the two guards, Rozier and Graham. Those are the three guys I really like from Charlotte today. On the Houston side, though, not a ton I really like here. With John Wall and Oladipo both playing today, I don't see either one being like top options for me. My favorite play from Houston, is definitely Christian Wood. I do like this matchup a lot for Christian Wood. Charlotte's been a team I've attacked with big men this year. They've always been a team that struggled to defend bigs. The minutes have been all over the place for Christian Wood. Only played 28 last game, but he was dealing with foul trouble in that game. He definitely would have played more had he not been in foul trouble. They said he was going to be on a minutes restriction, him and John Wall, and then John Wall went out there and played like 36 minutes or something. So even if they come out and say Christian Wood's going to be on a minutes restriction again, like, I assume he still plays at least like 30, 32 minutes. My best guess, though, is that we get like 34, 36 minutes from Christian Wood. And, now that he's getting back to 34, 36 minutes, this is someone we definitely need to be looking to at 880, 100. He's a really productive player when he gets the minutes. He's a guy that, can stuff the stat sheet, great scorer, great rebounder, can block shots as well. Really do like Christian Wood. Someone I'll for sure be looking to, in both formats. I don't know if I'll go there in cash, but tournaments, I think Christian Wood looks really good today. So, yeah, we can go to move on to the next one, Phoenix and Orlando. So, in Phoenix today, there are a couple guys I do really like here. The two guards, Booker and Paul, I think they're okay options. Chris Paul, I do prefer over Booker just because Chris Paul can, do more with the peripherals. He gives you, close to triple-double upside. We've seen Chris Paul put up some triple-doubles this year. If I had to pick one of the two Phoenix guards, it would be Chris Paul for me. But like on this slate, I think there's other guards I prefer in the mid-range priced around them. My main interest, though, from Phoenix today is DeAndre Ayton. So DeAndre Ayton at 5,800, in my opinion, is just too cheap. If he's going to continue to get 32 to 34 minutes, he's played at least 32 minutes in 2 straight games. The minutes have started to trim back up for DeAndre Ayton. There was that stretch where he was like really losing minutes. He wasn't playing a ton. Now the minutes have been going back up. He's been, producing really well. This is someone that's always been productive when he gets the minutes. It's just that, the minutes have been all over the place, but they've been steady lately. He's been getting 30-plus minutes, and if you tell me we're getting 32, 34 minutes from DeAndre Ayton, then that is way too cheap for him. Like, 5,800 for Ayton is way too cheap if he's going to play 30-plus minutes. Even in a less than ideal matchup against the Magic, even in a game that should be played at a pretty slow pace, I still think there's massive upside for DeAndre Ayton here, if he gets 30-plus minutes. So I'm definitely taking a shot on him at 5,800. Just too cheap in my opinion. And also on Yahoo, he's pretty cheap over there, $24. I do like him quite a bit as a center option you can look to on Yahoo as well. Definitely have a lot of interest in DeAndre Ayton. With two back-to-back really good games, I think the minutes should continue to be there for him as long as, the game stays close and he's not in foul trouble. So he's my main interest from Phoenix. We can go ahead and talk about the Magic side, though. This is a back-to-back for the Magic, so just keep that in mind. I'm pretty sure Aaron Gordon did rest on their last back-to-back. He's been coming back from injury. There's a chance he maybe sits out today. I don't know if that really changes too much on this slate. I don't think really anyone on Orlando stands out as a top play for me. Will mention Evan Fournier just because on Yahoo he is pretty cheap over there, $21. Like, that's definitely a nice price for Evan Fournier. He's someone, you could probably go to in cash games. Feels like he's, basically going to get you at least like 30 fantasy points, which is solid for $21. I don't know if the upside is, massive for Evan Fournier, but he does feel a little bit too cheap on Yahoo, especially if Terrence Ross remains out. But I don't think really anyone from Orlando stands out as a core play today. So next game, Cleveland and Chicago, looking at the Cavs and Bulls here. On the Cavs side, I really don't see much I like on Cleveland today. We'll mention Colin Sexton just because, it is a really good matchup against the Bulls. It's a pace-up spot. The Bulls do play really fast. Colin Sexton is coming off a really disappointing game in a good matchup against Sacramento last time out. But that should help to keep his ownership somewhat down today. I don't think he's really going to be that popular anyway. It's a big slate. Ownership's not going to be, we're not going to see, a ton of guys get, massive ownership. So I think Sexton will be pretty low owned. In a good matchup, you could definitely go to him as a mid-range option at guard. I think he's my one interest from Cleveland today. I guess Jared Allen you could look to in tournaments just because it is such a good matchup against the Bulls. I mean, we've seen centers just go off against the Bulls lately. Rudy Gobert had a huge game last time they played the Bulls. I can't remember who else. Somebody else went off against the Bulls. The Bulls have always been a team you can attack with big men. I would not be surprised to see a big game from Jared Allen here. Obviously, at this point, it's tough to trust Allen. We don't really know what we're getting from him on a nightly basis, but the upside's definitely there in this matchup. Him and Sexton as lower-owned tournament options, I think makes some sense, but that does it for me from Cleveland. On the Bulls side, not too much I really like here. I think my favorite play from Chicago is probably Tomas Satoransky just because he does still feel a little bit too cheap. 4,600 on DK. Going to start, play around 30 minutes. Probably going to give you anywhere from 25 to 30 DK points. 4,600 is definitely a little bit too cheap for Satoransky. I have a feeling that, better value is probably going to open up as the day goes on. But Satoransky is someone you could look to as a cheaper guard option. He's my main target from Chicago. I don't see too much else, though, I like on this team. Everyone just kind of feels priced appropriately. Zach LaVine always has upside in tournaments, someone you could always play in GPPs, but don't think this is a slate where I'm really going to be looking to roster Zach LaVine. So, yeah, that does it for the Bulls game. We can go ahead and move on to the next one, look at Memphis and OKC. So on Memphis and OKC here, not a ton I really like in this game. J-Val, Ja Morant, I feel like I say this basically every slate. Those two guys you could, you can always look to them, but Ja's been really bad lately. We haven't seen a good game from him in quite some time. He did have a good game against Boston, but before that, he was really, really struggling. It was good to see him have a decent game against Boston. You could maybe go to him here against OKC, 7,500, that does still feel a little bit too cheap for Ja, given the upside he has, but he has been, really inconsistent this year. J-Val, another guy that just has a ton of upside, can put up 45, 50 fantasy points any night. On this slate, I think I'd rather play other centers. I think I'd rather play Christian Wood over J-Val, if I can find the salary, but don't mind J-Val here. Not really considering anyone else on Memphis, though. On the OKC side, there's not much I like here either. Everyone just feels priced appropriately, if not, overpriced. SGA, another guy that, has upside. You could target him in tournaments, but I don't know if SGA is someone I'm really going to be considering as a core option, especially because there's some other guards I like, in these later games that we will talk about. So, yeah, OKC, really this game as a whole, just kind of a fade for me. I don't see too much I like here. Don't know if I'm really going to get to anyone in my one lineup from this game. So next one, Dallas and Minnesota. On Dallas, Luka here at 11K. You could definitely go to Luka, but on this slate, we're going to talk about James Harden. So we have James Harden playing without Kyrie Irving, playing without Kevin Durant. Harden was a top play for me on Tuesday night. He had a really good game. I'm probably going to be going right back to Harden again, assuming his whatever, I think it was his neck or whatever that made him questionable Tuesday, assuming that doesn't keep him out for today. I think Harden's the top stud for me on this slate. Luka, you could still play, though. I mean, it's obviously a good matchup here against Minnesota. We know Minnesota plays fast. They're not that good of a defensive team. If I was going to target anyone on Dallas, it would be Luka. Porzingis on this slate, don't know if I can really get there. I think I'd rather play Christian Wood, some of these other centers we've mentioned, Ayton for $2,000 cheaper. It is a good matchup, though. Porzingis did have a massive game against the Timberwolves earlier this year when they played 61 DK points in 30 minutes. Minnesota has been another team that struggled to defend centers this year, but we just haven't seen a good game from Porzingis in a while. It's been 4 straight games, less than 35 fantasy points. I don't want to pay $8K for Porzingis on this slate. It's just Luka for me, nothing else. On Minnesota, not too much I really like here. Towns, another guy that you can basically play every slate, has a ton of upside, but I think I'd rather play, Ayton, Christian Wood. We're going to talk about, obviously, Harden. You got Trae Young, you got De'Aaron Fox in a really good game environment, fast-paced game. I don't see too much I really like on Minnesota either. Anthony Edwards had a god-awful game last game. He was somewhat popular last slate. He should be super low owned today. His price tag went up a little bit to 7,600. So maybe you could go to Anthony Edwards in tournaments as a low owned play. But yeah, I don't think there's any core plays from Minnesota here. So look at the next game, the Clippers and the Spurs. On the Clippers side today, PG and Kawhi, I think they're solid options. PG, I feel like at 8,200, does feel a little bit too cheap. He's been, he's been appropriately, or I would say not appropriately priced. He's been a little bit underpriced on Yahoo these last few slates. $35. You could definitely look to him on Yahoo. I think I'd rather save $10 and play Terry Rozier, but PG is someone you could look to there. Zubac, though, he's probably my favorite play from the Clippers. We already know Serge Ibaka's out again, so Zubac should start at center. Probably play anywhere from 25 to like 30 minutes. I mean, against Charlotte, he played 25 minutes, but that was a blowout. Last game, he played 25 minutes against Atlanta. I'm pretty sure he did not close that game, though. And then the 2 games before that, he played 35 minutes against Dallas. So my best guess, we probably get anywhere from 25 to 30 minutes from Zubac. He's been a really productive player this year when he gets the minutes. Very likely to give you around 30 fantasy points. Maybe, could get a little bit more. The price tag went up to $5,500, but I still think Zubac is a decent option with Ibaka out. Marcus Morris, at $5K, like that just feels a little bit too expensive for him. He's still pretty cheap on Yahoo, so I don't mind him there. $11, if you need a cheap power forward, I think Marcus Morris looks pretty solid on Yahoo. Zubac, though, my favorite play from the Clippers. So yeah, I think that does it for the Clippers. On the Spurs side, I really don't see too much here that I like today. Like San Antonio, tougher matchup against the Clippers. Everyone, at this point is priced, to where they should be. I don't see really anyone standing out as being too cheap or anything. Lonnie Walker is going to be out for this game, so maybe you get a few more minutes for a guy like Patty Mills. But at $4,500, it's not like Patty Mills is that cheap anyway, to where I really want to, go out of my way to roster him. So not too much on San Antonio I really like. But these two late night games, we're going to start to talk about some guys that I do really like quite a bit. So on the Brooklyn side, we know Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant are both going to remain out today. James Harden, I liked a lot on Tuesday night. Once we officially got word that he was playing, he became, the clear top option on the slate. I can't remember exactly what he finished with. I can pull it up. Yahoo updates their game logs quickly. So he finished with 60 fantasy points and played 40 minutes against Portland on Tuesday. Had 25 points, 7 rebounds, 17 assists, and 2 steals. Just your typical James Harden stat line. With no Kyrie, with no KD, Harden's going to go out there and dominate the usage. He's going to play massive minutes. I know the matchup against Utah is not great, but whenever, Kyrie and KD are off the floor, Harden is just, he's always going to be the top stud for me, and it's not like he's too expensive either. I mean, he's cheaper than Luka, so even in a tougher matchup, I love Harden once again. He's my favorite stud on this slate. He's a guy that I'm going to be trying to jam in, if try and find a way to fit him in any way I can. Love Harden once again today. These secondary pieces, though, from Brooklyn, I don't see too much I really like here. I do want to talk about Bruce Brown and Nick Claxton, though. Jeff Green, I guess we can mention as well. So I'll say there's a couple guys that I do have some interest in on Brooklyn. So Nick Claxton first, he's been getting more minutes lately. Just every game, it seems like the minutes are just starting to trend up for Nick Claxton, and they're going down for DeAndre Jordan. Like DeAndre Jordan in Tuesday's game only played 20 minutes, whereas Nick Claxton off the bench, he actually saw 21 minutes. He was really productive, had 28 fantasy points. This matchup against Rudy Gobert is kind of scary. Like this does feel like a matchup where maybe they would use DeAndre Jordan a bit more over Claxton. But if Claxton's going to continue to get low to mid 20s in minutes, he is such a productive player. $11 on Yahoo, $4K on DK. Do have some interest in Nick Claxton as a cheap center option if you want to go to him. Bruce Brown, he's minimum salary on Yahoo. He only played 21 minutes on Tuesday. He did not play at all in the fourth quarter, which was super frustrating because I rostered him on Yahoo. But he's still minimum salary over there. Without Kyrie, without KD, with no Landry Shamet, there's a lot of minutes to go around. I do expect Bruce Brown to get more than 21 minutes today. I think most nights he's going to play 25 to 30 minutes with Kyrie out. So do have some interest in Bruce Brown at minimum salary. And then Jeff Green I also like. So Jeff Green, he was a core play for me on Tuesday's slate. And he started out super, super hot, man. It was kind of frustrating. He started out with 15 DK points in 8 minutes or something. And then he kind of cooled down in the second half, didn't really do much. He finished with an okay stat line, finished with 25 fantasy points in 34 minutes. The big thing, though, was that Jeff Green did start Tuesday. I'd assume he's going to start again today. And he played 35 minutes. If we're going to get 30-plus minutes, 35 minutes from Jeff Green, minimum salary on Yahoo, on DK 4,400, he is someone I'll definitely be looking to as a cheap forward option, even in a tough matchup. There's just so many minutes to go around, so much usage to go around with no Kyrie, with no KD. So clearly the top play from Brooklyn for me is James Harden, but I definitely have interest in guys like Bruce Brown, more so on Yahoo where he's minimum salary, but Jeff Green I like as a value, Nick Claxton I like as a value as well. Probably not going back to Tyler Johnson. He didn't really do much Tuesday. It's a different slate. We have 11 games today. I don't think we really need to play Tyler Johnson today, which probably means he's going to have a good game since, he burned us all on Tuesday. But, yeah, looking at the Utah side, it's a really good matchup for these Utah guys, but when this team is fully healthy, it's always tough to, roster really any of these guys with confidence. In tournaments, like Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, you could definitely mix in if you're playing a lot of tournament lineups. I don't know if I really get to any of them, though, if I'm only playing one lineup today. It's a great matchup for Gobert. We saw, Enes Kanter have a huge game against Brooklyn on Tuesday. Like, Brooklyn just gets killed by centers. I would not be surprised to see a big game from Gobert, but 8,400, like, that's quite expensive. I'd rather play some other centers that we talked about, before. Ayton for cheaper. You got, Christian Wood for a little bit cheaper. So, yeah, I think that does it for this one. Talking about the last game of the night, though, Atlanta and Sacramento, I would say that this is probably, in terms of pace, in terms of total, this is definitely the most appealing game on the slate. We have two pretty fast-paced teams here, two teams that don't play a ton of defense. Right now, this game has a 236.5 total, which I do believe is the highest on the slate right now. Yeah, it's the highest on the slate. There's a lot to like here. Starting off on the Atlanta side, love Trae Young today at 8,700. If I can find a way, I want to try and play him with James Harden. I think Trae Young is just, he's too cheap today. 8,700. Below 9K is just too cheap of a price point for Trae Young in such a good matchup like this against Sacramento. On Yahoo, he's also very, very affordable over there, coming in at $37. Really like Trae Young on both sides. He is by far my favorite play on the Hawks today. John Collins, he's an okay option. I don't have a ton of confidence in John Collins, but the matchup is really good. You can maybe go to him. Same with Clinton Capella. Like, the minutes have been trending down for Clinton Capella, but this is a really good matchup. We saw him have a ton of success against Sacramento earlier this year. In only 26 minutes, had 48 DK points. I think Capella is a solid mid-range option at center just due to the excellent matchup. I wish he was getting more minutes, but even in 25 to 30 minutes, Capella could give you 45, 50 DK points in this matchup. So have some interest in him, but that probably does it for Atlanta. Really, Trae Young, I think, 8,700 on DK, $37 on Yahoo. Like, Trae Young is clearly the top play from Atlanta today. Just way too cheap for this really good matchup. And on the Sacramento side, some guys I like here as well. De'Aaron Fox at 9K, I do like quite a bit too. You could definitely play him and Trae Young together. You could play one of the two. I mean, I guess you could play neither, but I feel like both these guys, Fox and Young, are two really good options here. I think straight up, I'd probably rather play Trae Young for a little bit cheaper, but De'Aaron Fox been so good this year. Obviously, just gets a ton of usage, plays a ton of minutes. Great matchup. He should have a ton of success here against Trae Young, who is not a good defender at all. He put up 51 DK points in 40 minutes when these teams played. A couple weeks ago, I think they played. They played on the 13th. Yeah, a couple weeks ago. You got 50 DK points in that game from De'Aaron Fox, or 51 DK points. In 9K, he still has plenty of upside here in this matchup to pay off this price point. So, do really like De'Aaron Fox on the Sacramento side. Rashawn Holmes in tournaments, I will definitely be looking to. I don't know if I could really get there in cash games, but I do like the upside he presents in tournaments. Just without Marvin Bagley, we know what we're getting from Rashawn Holmes at this point. Going to play, 30-plus minutes basically every night. As long as he's not in foul trouble, you should get 33, 35 minutes from Rashawn Holmes. Really good matchup, really good game environment, fast-paced game. Another guy that has a lot of upside. That probably does it, though, for Sacramento. I will mention Tyrese Halliburton just because he's been starting. He did get up to 36 minutes last game against Cleveland, and he was really productive. He finally had a good game, 37 DK points in that time. In a good matchup like this against Atlanta, in a fast-paced game, great game environment, Halliburton's another guy you could look to. I think he does stand out as a solid mid-range option. I feel like he's going to be a lot more popular than someone like Devontae Graham. So for lower ownership, I think I'd rather roster Devontae Graham, but Halliburton is someone you can look to today. But that probably does it for this game. I would say my main interests here are definitely Fox, Young, Holmes, and Halliburton. But man, there's so many good viable plays in this game just because it's going to be such a fast-paced game. It's going to be very high scoring. You could definitely see multiple guys here be in the winning lineup on this slate because I expect a lot of points to be scored here. There's a lot of options definitely that you can go to, but those four, Fox, Young, Holmes, Halliburton, probably my four favorites here. Clint Capella, I guess you could throw in there as well, my 5 favorite plays. But yeah, I think that does it for all 11 games today, guys. I tried to keep it as short as I can. I know this video is still going to be pretty long, but hopefully you did enjoy. I appreciate you watching. Just click that like button before you do get out of here, guys. Appreciate all the support as always. Hit the subscribe button as well. Click the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You also get notified every time I do go live. I should be live streaming this afternoon around 4 Eastern on my YouTube channel, so check out the stream this afternoon if if you're free and you want to tune in. Can answer all you guys' questions for tonight's slate. But best of luck tonight, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Peace.